this.
All right, we live.
Okay, all right, we live. All right, hello everyone. We welcome you today. Our topic today is flip the script, and we'll get into that. But we do want to let you know that we are our progress, where we infuse purpose, invigorate minds, and ignite change. So, with that, we'll do our introductions. I'm Terrence Johnson, the Life Excavator.
I'm Kendrick Bailey, the Life Doctor.
And I'm Jeffrey Hart, the life champion.
All right, so you may have heard of the phrase "flip the script," and if you haven't heard about it, then hopefully you'll have a different take on it once we get through with this discussion today. So I found this definition that I want to share. I think it'll help frame a lot of the things that we'll talk about later on. So it says script, the societal role or behavior appropriate to particular situations that an individual absorbs through cultural influences and association with others. So with the script, a script is something that um you pretty much build off of. In that sense, it's kind of what you absorb around you, and then how do you apply it or take it as a foundation for your life. So, for many of us, we've learned to behave or to act in a way because it's kind of been taught to us, or we've absorbed the environments that we've been around. But just because we've absorbed these things or we've learned these behaviors doesn't mean that it's right for our life. And when we get into issues with not being able to progress forward like we want to, or we have difficulties making decisions, it's not that we can't make decisions or that we don't know exactly what we want. The issue is that the things that we want to do, they kind of lay outside of the script that we've been accustomed to for our life. And so that might be listening to limitations that people have told us about ourselves, or our environment has said, like, well, nobody from here does that, or that's not what we do, or why are you going to school, and putting all these limitations on you, and that can become your script. So you can always go back to, well, this is the reason I can't do it because this person said I couldn't, or this is not the norm where I'm from. And so you allow that to kind of box you in. And so flipping the script is basically starting to question yourself about, well, why can't I do the things that I really want to do? And where did it come from? Where did it start? Because until you find those things or those areas, you won't be able to make some of the shifts that you want in your life. So I kind of stop talking for now, but just off of that, I guess what could be a script that people kind of build their life off of that may be incorrect for them, like in y'all opinion?
Well, when I think about a script, I think about somebody telling a story. And a script can be revised and rewritten, several times. And, a script that maybe doesn't follow the path for someone, if the script, outlines what, you know, their family want them to do, or the script has the voice of someone else, or is written in passive voice. And so if I'm writing the script of my life, it got to tell my story, and it has to be the right narrative. It
Mhm.
has to use the right adjectives. It has to use the right, action words. It has to describe me. And so whenever your script, doesn't, when people read it, it doesn't say who you are at the core, then most likely you're following the path, of someone else,
Mhm.
because what it may give you or what it may provide.
Yeah.
And so I think at any time we got to be ready to, like you say, flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
Flip the script is, changing that narrative.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
now I would say, when I think of a script or something like that, I think about a play, a movie, or something like that. And you have somebody that, you have the person that writes the script, then you have somebody that directs, produces, and then you got to have the actors to live out that
Mm-hmm.
script. So basically, you think about it, society or, your environment or whatever, you may have somebody that, is writing that script for you and are expecting you to act out a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, you can't deviate from the script.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Improv or
Mm-hmm.
do some
Yeah.
improvisation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, depending on the person that's writing the script for you, they may not want you to deviate from the script.
Right.
So, so yeah, like I said, sometimes, you know, people want you to follow a certain script, act a certain way, say certain things. So yeah, that's what I think about.
Okay. All right. So I got some I'll follow back up with what you said, but I want to go back to something Kendrick said first. You were saying the voice of someone else. And I think that's important to kind of highlight because part of how we get stuck in the scripts is that we start to abide by the voices of other people and the voices that we've absorbed around us, and then we start to live out what those voices have told us, even if we know that we have abilities above those voices, we will still take those voices over our own voices. And so I guess the follow up from that is, well, how do you filter out other people's voices or their limitations that they might put, well, attempt to put on you?
I guess you got to know which voices that you're listening to in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be able to tell the difference in who's guiding you. Are you following your own guiding principles, or are you listening to the voice that tells you, hey, you gotta dress this way to do certain things. You gotta, get up at 3 in the morning to be successful, and you gotta be early mornings, late nights, and it's not a lot of appreciation along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So distinguish between your voice and the people that you learn from, and you have to learn to tune out or unlearn messages from people that don't feed you or devalue you. And so once you learn to do that, hey, this is my voice. Hey, this is kind of what my grandfather did. This is what my mother says. This is what my father said. This is what my brother would do. You have to learn to turn all those voices off and be true to who you are, regardless if it sends you on a trajectory um, on your own path by yourself. I think that's okay, because what you're gonna discover is that you control your narrative and you can write your own script and you determine how it plays out too.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Uh I wrote some other things. I got some follow up for you too. All right. So Jeffrey, you were talking about, the actors and people want you to kind of act out a role. Um for Why do you feel that people get kind of stuck in that actor role? Like what leads them to continue to act out stuff that don't work for them?
Oh, kind of like what Kendra said, you hadn't figured out, your own voice. Um, and so you hadn't figured out, exactly maybe what you want to, maybe what you want to do, or, um, I guess, what road that you actually want to go down in life. Because, like Ken was saying, you constantly, hearing everybody else voice going on in your head. And so it's kind of hard to filter, that other voice out. So sometimes you just have to, kind of, I guess, sit back and get in your own thoughts. And so try to figure out, okay, is this really what I want to do? Do I really feel comfortable going down this road? And so I think just not realizing that, what you're doing is not your true path. And like I said, you're just basically doing what what you've been subconsciously taught, basically.
Okay. All right. So we had a question. Oh well, let me put it up. I've been writing notes and stuff. I've been missing comments. All right, so that's a comment, but this is the question here. So the question is, can we find value in those voices though? Like piece together our script based on voices we trust. I think you can, but so it reminds me, it's a book I read a while ago. It's called Still Like an Artist. And basically the whole concept is we all kind of take things from different people, but the way that we kind of put our own spin on it is kind of like the way we make it work for ourselves. So just like, everybody was everybody watched Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. And, a lot of people, emulated MJ. And then, Kobe based a lot of his, his kind of style on MJ, but he could never be MJ. So in that process of doing that, he kind of found his own style. And so I think that's the way we have to look at the voices, is that they can influence us, but we have to find a way to integrate it to make it our own, instead of trying to fit ourselves into whatever they were doing, because we won't be able to be them, but it could be things that they do or say or create that we could be inspired by, but we can't, pigeonhole ourselves and saying like, I'm not successful unless I do it the way that they did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I agree. We can find value in voices, in all those voices. What I would take from the voices is the wisdom. So, those voices can show you or tell you a way, but I always say it could be a million ways to do something. So you just got to find out what way works for you, because the way they did it, I can't do. That's maybe not the path I want to take, or that's not the path for me. So I can learn from their lessons, but still choose my own way of executing or writing my narrative.
Yeah, no, that's good. Jeffrey, you had something to add for that one?
No, but just definitely, especially like the voices that you trust. You can just take, I guess, pieces that you really feel comfortable with and that really resonates with you. Um, so, you could just take that and, especially if it's somebody that you really look up to and they're, live in the way that you, kind of desire to live like, then definitely I can say you can take their voice and, use it, in your life also. But, if it's somebody that, yeah, you may look up to them, but they really not living the best life, then I wouldn't put that in my script.
Yeah. And I guess one point, I think both of y'all said the same thing, is like, we think that our script can't be edited. And for a lot of us, we need to do some editing. It's not that our script is totally wrong. We got to take some pages out that no longer fit, or we get to a point like, oh man, I remember this, but this don't fit me now, or doesn't fit what going now. So let me take this page out. Let me rearrange some of these words. Maybe let me phrase this stuff differently. Because I think that's one of the things too with our script is that we write it so harsh on ourselves. And we don't see ourselves being like our own hero in our story. It's like
Mm.
we're like less than, or we're not as capable, or we're not as smart, or whatever like that. And all of that is in our script too, until we start to edit those things out, and then we change the words. So it's kind of like, our process of doing a lot of stuff in the business, we kind of come up with words and stuff like that and go through the thesaurus and try and figure out like what's the real word that we're looking for. And so sometimes you can communicate something, but you got to get the right words to fit exactly where you're trying to go, because it all depends on what you speaking into your life. And if it's your script, you want to put yourself in the best light. And I don't think we write ourselves in the best light in our own script. And that's why people can kind of come in and edit and put other things on it, because we don't have it written in our own words.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
All right. So I guess how do we go about rewriting the script or editing or removing parts of it that no longer serves us?
Okay. So one would be actually going through and rereading, because I think for some of us, we've been living the same script for so long, we don't even know what's in it now. It's almost kind of like you have a warranty or something like that. You don't know what's covered until you really read the fine print. And some of us really haven't took the time to really read the fine print on ourselves. And when we actually start to read, you start to figure out where certain things came from. Because in order to change it, you got to know where these pieces in different environments with different people. Because some of it may be you got the same script because you got the same people around you. And those people going to accept that script because it keeps you at a certain level. And sometimes you have to move yourself into new environments, so then you can actually start to compare and have a conversation with people like, oh man, I didn't know I could do that. Or, oh, I didn't. And so then you start to open yourself up. And that's the main thing. That is kind of putting yourself in a position where you can you can be uh you can expand your narrative. I guess that's the thing. Yeah.
And then I add, you have to know yourself. So a lot of people go through life not knowing who they really are. And it was another point brought up earlier about wearing masks, and we can't be our authentic self if we wear masks. But a lot of time we go through life and we look at life through other people's lens, and we try to operate from other people's narrative, and that could be us looking at the grass green on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but everybody got their own story or their struggles, and how they work through them. So we got to be aware of who we are, if we're going to make changes, because if we don't have any idea or what our reflection says to us in the mirror, then it's going to be hard to make a shift or make a change. And you gotta, life is meant to be lived, and live is an action oriented thing, it's an action oriented word. So that means we gotta try different things to find out or discover, what we like constantly throughout life. Because like Terrence said, at some point, certain things that served you, well, at one point in your life, they may not serve you at a later point in your life, because there's transitions in writing, and it's a reason for transitions. It helps the narrative, it helps the story flow better. So you have to look for transitions in your script to know what's the purpose of the transition, and be mindful that, hey, this transition means that I need to adjust, shift left, shift right, and move on from something.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. That's good. Cause I wrote down a couple of things you were saying. One was awareness, and I think awareness is a big piece of it. Uh, and then you were saying, try something different, and then the transitions that people have, and um, kind of knowing where they are in those transitions, and then what what the expected outcome will be from the transition that they're trying to complete. I guess that's the way to say it.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see. One thing I was thinking about, and just with narrative, is kind of you have like a pen and you write stuff down, and so then it might be some people might have issues with the voices that kind of control the narrative, but then sometimes people have given up the pen for their life, and
Mm.
now they got free reign to just write the script for them. Um, so in that case, how would somebody get to the point where they've given up total control of their script and giving their pen away to somebody else?
Say it
Um,
again.
yeah, say it again.
I'll write a comment, so that's why maybe you
Yeah, you said don't have a ghostwriter for your life. All right, let me
yeah.
see. Yeah, look, y'all know I can't remember stuff at that saying. What I was saying was, uh, you know, about somebody having the pen for your life instead of you having the pen.
Mm.
What would cause somebody to give up control of the pen of their life to allow somebody else to just write freely?
All right. So that's the reason I wrote the comment about ghostwriting. So
Okay.
if you listen to hip hop or rap, you know what a ghostwriter is. A ghostwriter is somebody that writes for somebody else. And people at the authentic craft, they just love the everything about hip hop. They write their own raps and they do everything. But sometimes I think the ghostwriter method applies to what we're talking about now because sometimes we think somebody else's pen may write a better story or may give us more shine than what our pen can give us. And
Mm-hmm.
so we choose to give up on our pen to somebody else and let them take the leading role or let them have control. And what happens, the more you give control to someone else or something else, the more or the less control you have, and the less you're connected with yourself in your voice. And so, you know, do we want to give up all rights to ourselves for success? Because ghostwriting might take you to success, but it may not take you to fulfillment because you're so far away from who you are at the core, and no one else can see you the way you see yourself
Mm-hmm.
because you keep up an appearance. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
No, I'm saying could that mean that that person just don't trust themselves to do what's necessary?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, yeah. If you don't trust yourself, that's one of the reasons that you give up. It's like it's like it's like the reason why people would give up anything if they don't feel like they have the ability to care or do right, by something, they'll give it up and they'll, give it to somebody that's maybe more equipped to handle it. But it's more so that you just don't trust your abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good question because I had wrote there after you said ghostwriter. I had trust and confidence on my notes. I was like, yeah, you got it. But yeah, that's good. I mean, that's real good because that goes back to all roads lead back to ourselves.
Mm,
So it's our trust and our confidence in our abilities that will keep our narrative going forward. But every time that we feel like we're not worthy of the thing that we're trying to get to, or we don't feel like we have everything that we need or we equip, then we search out or seek out other people to be um, those kind our foundation. When we
yeah.
have foundation in ourselves, we just may need perspective from other people. And that's a difference. Like nobody can give you a foundation. People can give you perspective.
Yeah.
If you don't have a foundation, you will take their perspective as your foundation. You
Yeah.
you can't build your life off of what other people may think or perceive about the things that you do, because you still got to live those things out. You still got to do things for yourself. And if you always base every decision off of perspective from other people, you won't ever know your true foundation, because it'll
Yeah.
be whatever else somebody else tells you.
Yeah. And then you'll be lost in thought, because before you make any move, it's like people looking on somebody else's paper when they're taking a test. It's
Mm-hmm.
because you don't trust your own answer. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times people look on somebody else's paper, they end up getting the wrong answer and changing their right answer to something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in life, it's okay to observe, but at the end of the day, you got to trust your decisions and your answers, because whether they're right or wrong, they're going to guide you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you trusting yourself, and it's not you trusting somebody else to have the answers for you.
Yeah, no, that's good. I can see that vision, because you used to be in school, you had them scantrons, and you trying to pick up with somebody.
Yeah, and not realizing they got four versions of four
Right,
versions of the
right,
test.
right.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just trying to get a couple answers off, and then all your answers wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I got that vision when he was talking. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, yeah, I remember them days. But it makes so much sense, and I think that's where a lot of people are at, because either at one point in their life, their narrative or their script worked and it's not. Some people don't even know what's in their script, because they've just been uh kind of existing, and so whatever happens just happens. And then for other people, they're definitely in the process of editing their narrative, but they don't know what the edits will lead toward,
mhm,
because they've been so used to this story. If they edit it or change it, then what would their life look like now? And they're not used to that unknown factor. So they're like, it's like, I know where I'm at right now. This is not where I'm supposed to be, but I don't know where the unknown would take me. So I'm afraid of that too. So it's
yeah,
like kind of get stuck, because you can't go backwards, but then you're afraid to go forward, because you're not that's outside of your comfort zone.
yeah. And then I'll throw this in. We gotta learn to let go of control in regards to the script too.
Mm-hmm.
Because control, we can want to tell it the way we want it to be, and instead of telling it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so be honest with yourself, but also let go of that need for total control, because there's no such thing with total control. The times when you think you have total control or you in total control, you probably don't have control at all. Because control can be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Everything have to be A through Z, and if it's not A through Z, I come unglued, or I'm anxious and I'm nervous and my anxiety takes control. Is that we got to get comfortable sometimes just letting things happen, and then after things happen, you can write the process. So some things in your life you can foresee,
Mm-hmm.
some things in your life you got to experience before you write, and some things in your life you have no clue about. And you got to be okay with all of that, because if you try to predict everything that's going to happen, if you try to, you know, stay so connected and in control, then you're distracted from living, and you're focusing on not making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm hearing you saying is best to write the script as you go on.
I mean,
Right.
for the most part, there's gonna be some things you see ahead, but for the most part, you gotta live life as it happens. There's some things that you are gonna see, and it lines up. Yep, I saw this, but you're not gonna see everything that's gonna happen to you. You know, you
Mhm.
got the work ethic, you got the intangible, so you know certain things you're gonna do. If you've always made good grades, then you're gonna continue to make good grades. You know, but if you've made a lot of unwise decisions, then you got to look at why you made those decisions in order to break those patterns. And so, so most of it comes from experience or living it, but some things you will be able to foresee. People call it like deja vu.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I like that what you were saying, and what I was thinking during the time you were talking was, to kind of trust the process, but
Mm.
don't focus on the destination. And I think
Yeah,
that's kind of what you were talking about, because like if we focus so much on the destination, it's almost like when you're in the car when you were younger and you're going
yeah,
on vacation. You're like, "Are we there yet? No. Are we there
yeah.
yet? No. Are we there yet? No." And we just keep saying that, like, "Are we there yet? Am I there? Like, am I almost there? Am I almost there?" And so it's like if we focus on that, we'll never get there because all we focused on is arriving. But if
Yeah.
we just be patient in the process, the destination will be way better than what we thought it would be.
Mm.
And then I think for some of us, we want ourselves out asking that question, like, when is it gonna happen? Then when it happens, it's like we don't have the energy to maintain the thing that we were really intending on. And so that's the other part too, is we gotta conserve our energy in the process, because yeah, we can keep writing and writing and writing, but
Mm.
then maybe we have to wait to the next, well, like the next scene to happen. So maybe we need to close out one scene and then start another one, instead of trying to just write this big long one and keep adding to it.
No, that sounds good. And the other piece of that, a lot of time, if we don't stay connected to the process, like being in the car,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how you got from point A to point Z because you're so focused on are we there yet that you didn't have the time to take in the scenery. So take in the scenery along the process and make sure that digest what's happening around you.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah, that's it.
Just enjoy the ride.
Put the top down like the convertible. Just right. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's good. Like I say, all these things that y'all saying, they kind of got visuals to it, so it's
Yeah.
easy to kind of connect to it, because you can just kind of put yourself in different situations where you can remind yourself how that felt. And so I think all that's good. But I like this comment right here. Don't be afraid of erasers and whiteout. The script changes. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's real good.
That's
That's
re-
real.
that's real life right there. So
Yeah.
that just let people know their story gonna change. And if you don't ever make additions and deletions to your narrative, you're not focusing on evolving.
Hmm.
You don't care what the narrative sound like. You okay with just going, through the motion. You don't care how good or how bad. You just okay with how things happen. Laissez faire.
Hmm.
Yeah, don't really matter. You
Yeah.
kind of flow.
Yeah. Another thought I had about corrections is, the better the the script, the more correction it's gonna have to have.
Hmm.
So if you got a real good product, it's gonna take a lot of edits. And
Yeah.
so don't don't be frustrated, or don't get down on yourself if you feel like you're always editing things or correcting things with your script. That means that you have a worthwhile product that you're trying to produce. and I'm not meaning product as something, but the product of yourself. If you're always trusting the process and editing yourself, then you're editing yourself to be better.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So if you kind of ran out of whiteout and you got to get some more, then that's a good thing. That means that you're working on some stuff and you're
Yeah.
not taking everything around you or the story of your life at face value. You're editing and changing it as you go along.
Yeah. Because writing a script's not easy.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's definitely not easy. You know, for all the people that's good writers out there, they understand that in order to perfect your craft, you got to put in the work, you got to
Mm-mm.
put in hours, and you got to have a really keen eye, and you have to be able to see, you know, things as they happen, but you got to be able to catch yourself too.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because you know books, whatever they go through edits and rewrites and
Mm-hmm.
second edits, third edits. So yeah, it's constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some people been writing books for 10, 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and, 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 and they're not satisfied. And so that's why they be writing for 10, 15, 20 years on somebody else reads. They be like, oh, it's some great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do it from your own voice. And so you just have to know.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think I had another question. Okay. So I guess we can kind of go into some of these questions. Um, I guess one of the questions is how do you describe the pain of living from a script that is not your own?
How do you describe the pain of living from a script that is not your own? I mean, I would look at it as if I have no voice, then it's devalued. And if I'm devalued, um, then I'm just existing.
Mm-hmm.
And and so I don't really have a say so in what happens, and I can't necessarily change what happens. So it's almost like being, on autopilot, just going through the motion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the capacity to change anything, or the power.
I don't know if y'all ever experienced this, but you know, sometimes when you sleep,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like you sleep, but you're trying to get up and move, but you
Sleep
can't.
paralysis.
Can't. What's it called?
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess when you were asking that question, you know, because it feel like you trying to get up, you're trying to do something, you're trying to move, but you can't, and you
Mm-hmm.
stuck,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mhm.
frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you know give all that up, you know you wonder why you're frustrated all the time. You know, you wonder why you're tired all the time because you giving up. You know what you should be doing. You know yourself. So yeah, I guess it's that paralysis, the sleep paralysis, where you know
Yeah,
you halfway conscious, but you know you're trying to get up, you're trying to move, but you just can't go nowhere.
yeah,
And yeah, so that's
yeah,
the that's the people that I get when I think
Mm-hmm.
about that.
yeah. I think about the name our grandparents gave it, but yeah, that's what it's called, sleep paralysis.
What you go? What you gonna say? What the other name for
Man, that's what your grandparents called it when the witch was riding your back.
it?
But it's called sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Oh boy. Let's see. I well, I'm gonna ask them because a lot of these we answered already. Um, I guess since we kind of toward the tail end of the conversation, I guess we can kind of go and talk about like what's our like summary from what we talked about, or what we feel like was the key points that we want people to kind of leave with today.
All right. So
Um, Now, I guess what I was gonna say, I was just thinking about earlier. We were going through the, talking about the edits and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
good.
uh,
Uh-huh.
so if you don't make any edits or changes or whatever, you're just gonna flow through life, and you're gonna constantly get the same thing over and over again,
hmm,
and you're gonna be frustrated.
That's good. Yeah, I'll put that down. Look, that's your quote. Yeah, you got that.
let
We gonna put that up.
change.
Yeah, we gonna put that one up. That's good there.
Yeah, man.
That's good
So
there.
you gotta think, what, and we mentioned the awareness piece. So you got to become aware of what needs to be changed, and you had to realize, like I said, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mm-hmm. All
Yeah.
right.
So you definitely got to get in touch with who you are, and it's important not to have a ghostwriter for your life because you're gonna get their story, not your own. Um, you have to, be you have to have an awareness to what voices that you that you operate from, and not in the context that you're hearing voices, but everybody have people that has instilled something in them, and you have to understand: are you operating from what they would do, or if you're operating based on what you would do? And we've all experienced things like that, that we operate from how the message that we learn directly or indirectly from people. And so what I take from all of that is that you have to be the loudest voice in the room if you want people to hear you when it's your turn to talk. And then so if your voice isn't loud enough, then you have to look at that and look at what you're not doing. So not what they're not doing, what
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing,
Okay.
and constantly focus on revising, but look for transitions because transition symbolizes a shift in your narrative, and a shift symbolizes change. And so those are the first two components that we focus on a lot with our progress. We look at awareness and we look at shift.
Mm-hmm.
So transitions are a part of life. What purpose does the transition serve you?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you meant to do when you make the transition?
Oh, that's good. That's good. I wrote that down. I wrote that. I guess for me, my summary would be become the hero of your own story. So for most of us in our script, our narrative, we like we downplay or minimize ourselves in our own story. And so we might look to other people as superheroes or our role models or whatever like that, but we don't give ourselves the same weight or appreciation like the things that we've had to overcome and endure, or the challenges that we've taken on and survived and thrived through. And so I think for for everybody to become the hero of your own story. And even any hero story that you watch, they always had to go through challenges that prepare them for the next step. So
Mm,
just because you're going through a lot right now, take it as this is what's going to be your platform or your stepping stone to get to the next level. And everybody that wants to do great things had to go through different challenges, because that makes sure that when you receive those things, then you take great care of those things, and
mm,
you understand that the challenges are never about you. It's how you can help other people through the very thing that you experience. So,
That's the word.
yeah. So yeah, this was I enjoyed this conversation today. It was really good.
I had to put this live. If I had to compare it to a movie, I would call it The Pursuit of Happiness,
Oh,
because
yeah.
how it started out, he was able to flip the script and
Mm-hmm.
his narrative. And so, it anything, if you believe in something, and you believe it's your purpose, you got to stick with it through, the foundations, which typically are the challenges, and then, get to the stage where you thrive, you know. And like I said, then you'll be able to write your story, but you'll be able to share it with everybody else too.
Okay. Before we wrap up, does anybody that's watching right now have any questions or comments, anything for us before we wrap up? We definitely want to give everybody opportunity to kind of chime in if they want to. I know a lot of people have been chiming in the whole time, but if you have something specific before we wrapped up, you can ask it now. If not, definitely share this discussion with other people that you think that might benefit from it.
Mhm.
Because we enjoy the discussion. We learned as much as you do. So as we talk, we get notes, and we got notes and notes on everything we talk about because it really helps us too. So, like I said, if nobody else has any other comments, then we will look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. If you're not a part of our Take the Journey group, I will put the information. Well, I thought I had it. Oh wait, hold on. I do have it. Hold on, let me put it up. Okay, so yeah, so that's the link for the Take the Journey group. So definitely sign up for that if you haven't. If you're already involved with it, make sure to remind everybody that we will do our live Thursdays at 12 there in the Take the Journey group.
Mhm.
So we look forward to seeing more and more people there as well. So I mean, we enjoy it every time we get on, and we've been. Uh, I wouldn't say surprised, but we just kind of get caught off guard from time to time when we find out that other people have been watching and listening to what we've been talking about. And so we've been getting a lot of like texts and phone calls and stuff like, hey, we've been watching. Like, oh, I didn't even know you were watching. So everybody that watch, we appreciate it. Even if you're not live with us during the time that we record it, if you rewatch it, we just grateful and thankful for everybody. All right.
Good deal. So we'll
All
see
right.
everybody on Thursday.
All right.
All right, have a good one.